welcome to Lokkange Podikale, where we figure out and find out what exactly the main roles of Sri Lanka had been going through when they were little. Alright, so you know who I am. I'm Vidura Wickramanayaka from A+ TV, Sri Lanka's first and only 24/7 children's channel. Who is the person who gives you all different sorts of advices, fun-filled education as well. Alright, so nowadays, you must be knowing that we are living in a highly industrialized world. Sri Lanka is industrialized, our schools are changed, and so much of different sorts of commercialization has been going on. Despite all of this, earlier generations, our parents, our grandparents had been able to have an experience filled with a lot of outdoor activities. Even though we are not able to have that experience, we would like to provide to you all exactly how this experience would have felt to you if you had been there. Alright, Lokkange Podikale is a program where we bring on different sorts of Sri Lanka's head leading roles over here and discuss a few sorts of experiences and different sorts of other things that they had gone through in their childhood. So without further ado, let me welcome today's guest. Today's guest is a person who is extremely simple, you know, without considering anything of his posts or anything about his past. Well, please welcome the loving son of Ratnasiri Wickramanayaka, former Prime Minister, Mr. Vidura Wickramanayaka. Hello and Ayubowan, sir.
Ayubowan.
So as far as I'm concerned, he's an extremely simple person. Well, the first thing that I notice about him is that despite the fact that he is a Parliament Minister, he does not wear footwear. Well, so it's quite out of the ordinary, since a person of his caliber usually does wear expensive clothing, expensive, say, footwear and so. So why, for my first question, so why are you going on with that principle of not wearing footwear?
I feel that I don't need it anyway. But if you go deeper into that, it always reminds me what the beginnings and the objectives of life.
Exactly. Thank you, sir. So, there you go. Extremely simple person who does not like to forget where he started. Alright, so Lokkange Podikale is all about childhood, how you had been spending your childhood. So first of all, sir, if you could give me a little introduction about where you studied and how did all that go?
I studied at Royal College, and but even when we were small, even while schooling, we used to stay at Horana. Not in the town, but it's about another 7-8 kilometers interior. That is the ancestral house, so we call it Mahagedara. That is where we used to stay. I can remember about three or four families living together in that house. So there were a lot of interactions in the children, and we had enormous opportunities to interact with the nature, the environment. Of course, less time for studies and more time for enjoying the childhood.
True enough. Nowadays, we are having a more individualized approach than a collective approach, which is why we have families separated from each other. We have parents and children living apart and grandparents living somewhere else. So you did mention that you were living in your ancestral house and there were a lot of families living there. When it comes to kids, when we all join together, a lot of notorious things happen. Is there any sort of experience that you've had like that?
Yeah, 1001 notorious things I have done and things have happened. Well, that's part of growing up.
True enough. So do you have any sort of a highlight out of it, like something that you would like to share with us?
In general, all these, but of course, my parents, though they didn't impose anything on me. That, for an example, I did agriculture for my bachelor's, And I know deep down they wanted me to become a doctor. But they never opposed. They let me go on. And likewise, they had a watchful eye. Yet they let us experience life, the surroundings. So that was a plus point in my life.
Yes. And talking about parents, well, punishment is a common approach that many parents use. And I'm pretty sure you must have had a little bit of punishment throughout your childhood. And I would like to know about that, along with the fact that whether punishment is actually a good approach or not that parents could use.
Theoretically and practically, no. I don't believe in that. But let's take the other side of the coin. Do we reward our children? At least a pat on head or the shoulders and few words of encouragement. Do we do that? No, we don't. Because as of now, the children are being motivated, guided, not towards the academic excellence, not towards the, there could be other skills that the child excels.
Sure enough, sure.
But we don't consider that. The parents, first they want to get to the best, the highest marks in the 5th year 5 scholarship. Then the O-levels, then the A-levels, likewise. Well, there should be, in my personal view, there should be revolutionary changes in this system of education.
True enough, sir. So, punishment is not a proper approach.
No, but rather reward is better
than
option.
Punishment. Yes. So, like instead.
But I was punished. I have been punished several times. Yeah, my mother was the disciplinarian, and not father, because he didn't had time to interact with the family very much. He was a full-time politician.
Yes.
So since the day I known him,
he has been a politician.
He has been a politician. Yes. He was in the parliament since 1960. So it was more. Their interaction was more with the mother. It's a usual case, not an extraordinary case, that the children are closer to the mother. But then the mother should guide them properly, and I think my parents on that case, my mother did a tremendous job in guiding us, especially though she was the disciplinarian and she imposed, as you say, punishment, but nevertheless, there has been, I think, Vidura Wickramanayaka is here today due to those things.
So, well, there is a common saying that, for example, my father is in the accounting field and I was a born accountant. Because the first thing I see the world, everyone's like, okay, she's going to be an accountant. So, were you a born politician just because your father was one?
No. There are no born leaders or born politicians. They have been made. But of course, you should have the skill and the courage to face the whatever the circumstances, or the others may throw stones at you, they may offer flowers at you. So you should have the courage to accept whatever it is. And but you should also have your own set of principles. My set of principles may not be as similar as my father's principles. And we have great variations in certain issues. That is acceptable. Though I may be a chip of the old block, yet I may not have the same views and opinions on certain issues.
Sure enough. So uniqueness thrives a lot. So as you were speaking about punishment, and you said that you had certain occurrences where you were punished. Well, I am curious to know what was one of those occasions.
Well, usually the fights between me and my brother. So sometimes it could lead to a unpleasantries. Like I sometimes beat him.
Okay.
Okay. So therefore the mother has to interfere. And also there are certain, of course any society or any family has certain set of values and norms. So if we deviate from those, they think, the parents or the elders think that it is against the family or the society. But as far as I am concerned, those leaders who shaped this world, shaped the nations, were all deviants. And in the future, the present, and also in the future, only the deviants can lead this country and also the world.
Yes, so is there, like you said, you usually beat up your brother. Is there been some sort of a fight?
Not always. So, well, I let him beat me.
Okay.
And just let's say, for an example, he beats me 10 times, then I give him just one shot.
One shot.
Yeah, one punch.
So is there been
which is a nasty one.
Yeah, just to cover up all the 10 punches that he gave. So has there been a situation where you desperately wanted something and your brother interfered?
No, not really, because we have the common interests, as well as, even playing. It is more or less it's just two of us playing cricket together, and but these things you don't hold grudges, nothing. Just a matter of couple of minutes. Okay, back to normal.
Innocent fights.
Yes.
Sir, I need a one-word answer whether it's a yes or a no. So were you a notorious child growing up?
Yes and no.
Yes and no both. So since you've been notorious according to you, yes or no, it's like a maybe. Well, was there any occurrences at school where you were, punished, you were sent home early, you had detention?
Oh, of course, yes. I think practically, if my memory serves me right throughout the year.
Right.
There were only very few occasions that I went home after 1:30. But usually, due to detention, it's always 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the evening. So, luckily, we didn't have any private tuition classes or something like that those days. So we didn't also mind.
Just a little fun never hurt.
Yeah, and the whole, I can remember our class was, it was detained. The whole class has been detained several times.
All right. Right, so at school also you've been quite of a notorious character. How did your mother react to all of this?
I think I don't know, I think they took it as thinking that this is a part of growing up. But they never questioned. I can remember because there was a record book. The record book was introduced during our time, and students' record book. So the parents have to sign for detention when they say they were detention for such and such time. So they had to sign. I can remember my father asked. He used to sign it, and he asked me once, "Why so much?" That's all. He was not expecting an answer for it.
Just the relatable question.
Yeah, because he also has been a child.
Yes.
He also has gone through this. I'm sure that he was much more notorious than me. Okay. That's what I have heard.
Yes. True enough. So, when we were schooling and all, we had a situation where some students would end up throwing bottles at the principal and they'll be expelled out of school. Have you done some sort of a thing like that to an extreme extent?
No. I usually do not support this personal vendetta, no.
True.
I don't buy that. But of course, I can remember in 76 or 77, my father was a minister, but we staged a protest in Royal College. This was the first time, I suppose, in the history,
Okay.
against the government for killing a student at Peradeniya University. His name was Vidura Wickramanayaka. So we staged a protest, and a lot of people, lot of students got together. I mean, there was no control whatsoever from because they couldn't control by the teachers. At that time, it was all over the country, everybody. Some students went into the streets, but we didn't go to the streets, especially the university students. So that is the first incident that I can remember of this nature, being very, very notorious. And when my father was a minister of that particular government.
Sure, sir. We were talking about, now that you spoke of it, we were talking about oppositions. So I've heard throughout doing my little bit of a research upon you, that no matter which party that you're supporting, you stand for what you believe is right.
Yes.
No matter what happens, if your heart says yes to it, you will go thrive towards it. Sir, whoever who's watching right now are little kids along with their parents. Ones who are my age, ones who are little, or ones who are elder. So why do you think sticking up to what you believe is right is more important?
The last negotiate that we have, when our lives about to end, we have to negotiate with one person, one person. That is our conscience. We may have lived with thousands. We have been negotiated with thousands or millions. Yet, we'll be left only with ourselves and the conscience. So, if the conscience to be very strong, you got to do what is right according to your conscience.
True enough. Sir, now that we spoke about that as well, not a lot of people go by this rule. They always stick up to what is much more beneficial for them. How would you maintain being a person who goes over to these opinions or not?
It is the upbringing, I should say, and also the what you acquire from nature and nurture.
True, true, true.
So it has a lot of commodities and ingredients rather. We have the ultimate product is being made.
Yes.
So if now like books can shape a man's life, also the lives of others. Like if you read a biography of a person who has excelled in that particular field or who has given something to the world, to the human, if we can learn something, we should always try to learn something from everything. Everything. Now I am learning from Sanavi. There are a lot of things that I learned. While we are talking, yes, I do learn. And we should try to appreciate, always appreciate, admire. No matter, it could be a different opinion, yet we should respect that. So, while you are acknowledging, admiring, appreciating, you should also respect. Pay respect to the people, all of them, even to the animals, to the trees, plants, all that should be taken into consider. The air that we breathe, we should respect that, because that is the bottom line of lifeline.
I agree, sir. True enough. So I felt like digging deeper into this amazing person. Sir, growing up, Were you a person who would usually engage in co-curricular activities a lot, or were you a more academic person?
Not so much into curricular activities, but when I was about 10, 11, 12, 13, I used to play cricket, soccer, or football, and do some athletics, that's all. But I never excelled. I should say I'm not the so-called sporty guy
Person, okay.
or athlete type of, no. But well, though I didn't give much time to academics, nevertheless I became first in the class or second in the class, like that way, and managed to get through the O levels, the first shy itself, and also the first shy of the A levels, and managed to land in a university when I followed agriculture, likewise.
So do you have any advice to whoever who is going through their scholarship exams, or they are scared for their O-levels, or they're scared for their A-levels? How do you manage being a child and also trying to get good grades in your exams?
I'm not, right now let me address the parents with this question. The parents should not pressure the children. That is number one. Let them they take their own initiatives, and you all can just guide. But this is what is happening right now. The children are being pressurized. When they when they don't live up to the expectations of the parents, they commit suicide.
Sure.
Just imagine, on the list of suicide of the world, we are among the first 5. So I think we are considering a civilization aged back to 3,000 years, should we have at least one suicide? No.
Yeah, sure.
Because that itself shows that our children are not ready to accept certain judgments, so-called judgments, that they receive. In other words, that shows that we are not strong. We have to believe in ourselves first.
Yes.
That cannot be taught, but that could be nurtured in a child, to let him believe in himself. But we don't let it do that. That is not the way that the relationship between the children and parents today, and also children and students and the teachers. It's entirely different from what we were and where the children are now. We learned a lot from our teachers, and that helped to carve a man or a lady necessary for the society, for the country, and for the self.
True enough. Thank you. So you gave an advice, and very important advice to our parents. So what do you think that would be an easy solution for children like us who are going through our exams and sometimes going to pitfalls? What sort of advices do you have for the children?
Especially the year 5 scholarship, it's not a matter of life and death. You may not get good grades, but there are another 2 more exams. That's the ordinary level and the advanced level. You have to focus on that. With the system of education we are having today, anyway you have to follow tuition classes. And you have to do that. Whether you go to Royal College or some other school, you still have to go to tuition classes. So don't worry about it. Enjoy life. Watch a movie, but not too much on television, not in front of television. It's all garbage right now on television. Garbage from different countries, I should say. And also, not in front of, don't get addicted to computer with these game stuffs. I've seen even the parents have been addicted to this. But you should not do that, because always think about yourself, your family and your country. Think about it, that you have to do something for the country. You have to do something, some service for the family. And you have to satisfy first yourself, not the others. You have to first satisfy yourself. If you can do that, then you will be a successful person.
Thank you, sir. So it's basically get in things that are very important to you and which will help you mold out a better personality throughout you. So, sir, while you were saying that you were not an extremely sporty person, no matter what you do, you were not into that field, but you were okay with academics, you would go up to straight A's and stuff like that. So was there any sort of other talent that you had?
Well, I would have had a lot of talents, but I never harnessed them. Right. Because, well, there to a certain extent, I had to concentrate with studies. When the O-level was the first hurdle that we had to clear during our lifetime.
Yes.
Of course, there was a scholarship program, even at that time. I think it was in year 7, grade 7. And we sat for that. That was called Navodaya scholarship. And only the poor families, or the children of the poor families, get the benefit of that. Well, I managed to pass that also. But of course, I didn't get the benefits yet. I am today, even today, I am proud of it. Because we didn't have classes like today.
Yeah.
We never went to classes for that scholarship exam. I think I can remember our teachers had after school couple of hours concentrating on that scholarship exam, maybe 2 or 3 days. So that is how the things were. We were given more opportunities to enjoy the childhood and to incorporate things from our life, to the nature into our life. That's very important. And also the other men. We have to learn from, not only from books, also from men, also from nature. To learn from him. That's why I said, even at this moment, I am learning from you. We have to learn. And we have to be simple and humble. Sanvi, just imagine, now 2 of us, we can relate ourselves, so this is so and so.
Yes.
We go up in a plane, say about 40,000 feet high.
Yes.
First you may see just the people as pins, then the houses becoming like box of matches. Little by little we go up, higher up. When we reach that 40,000 feet, will you be able to see us? No. How small we are. So we have to be very humble. Very humble. Lead a simple and humble life. Don't run after desires and all that has been presented to you by the world. No. You are your own master. You set your principles, you set your needs, and plan your life according to that. And you will be on the top.
Yes, sir. I heard that you were a quite good artist. Is that true?
I cannot say whether I was a good artist, but I like art. And I can remember a time I went to a class. My mother was, she wanted not a career as an artist, but anyway, she wanted me to attend art classes, and I could remember Mudliya Amarasekara's. He's now no longer with us, a great artist of our time. I went for his classes as well for a very short time. That's it.
So you were good at drawing anyways.
No, I cannot say. I am within the frame. How can I say? You are outside the frame. The others can decide.
Sure enough. So when we pick up a hobby, you have to be inspired to do it. You have to have a passion to do it. What was your inspiration behind politics?
How I became a politician is, well, I don't know whether it really meant for me in life. But in 1977 there were elections, and my father was contesting for that. Just at the beginning of the elections, he fell sick, and there was nobody to go to the meetings, not to address. So the people said not to address, but send your son.
On behalf of him?
Yes. So what they expected was just for me to sit there.
Yes.
But somehow somebody invited me to make a speech. Then I made a speech. That was it.
So you didn't have any stage fright, or be like, how are these people going to judge me since I am so and so's son? Didn't you have any sort of problems like that?
No, that's why I say I am my own master.
Sure enough. So, I got to know a very interesting fact about you. Back in the day, well, still, we have different sorts of nicknames our friends call us. So, since my name is quite hard to pronounce, as some people may say, they give me different sorts of nicknames. So, not only us, but quite leading roles of Sri Lanka did also have nicknames. And I came across one such nickname. So, why were you called Honey Bunny?
I really don't know why I was called, but that was used by, among the mother's relations, they used to call me Bunny. I don't know why. Until today, I don't know. I have never asked that. But when I grew up, well, I left the country when I was about 18 years. So, after that, that slowly died down and it had a natural death. Now, nobody calls me Bunny, or nobody remembers who Bunny was.
Okay.
Except the ordinary bunnies that we talk about.
So why do you think they might have called you that?
I don't know. I told you, I don't know.
Stepping back for...
I don't know whether I look like Bugs Bunny. No, I don't think so.
We'll let the children judge about that. Alright, moving back to more serious matters. Nowadays, children are being addicted to different sorts of things. For example, some go behind drugs. They might be addicted to some different sorts of things. They might be quite, let's say, quite ordinary things. Or sometimes they'll go to an extreme which is absurd. So this is sometimes due to peer pressure and different other sorts of family problems. So how do you think that the generation that we have now, with the stress that we are getting from studies and all, and how do we cope up with all these problems? So do you have any advices for that?
One thing we should, that's why I said, the parents or the family should not pressurize a child. If he has other talents, let him or her go on that, follow that. Because every child has dreams. It may be a short-lived dream, or it may be for the lifetime. Number one requirement is for the parents to have a healthy relationship with children. Today, I see two extremes. Very few have this healthy relationship, and most, they don't have this healthy relationship. The parents-children interaction is nil. And treat your child as a friend. Be a friend to him or her. Then he will, if the problem, whatever the problems they have, they will come out with it. Talk to you in open. They won't hide. The more you hide, more he or she gets into trouble. And you won't have time to or opportunity to guide him or her. So, in that way, you will be able to know what the child is doing, what their friends are doing, what are the pressures by the peers, and so on and so forth.
Since we were speaking about parents, sir, many parents usually make their children do what the parents like, or make the children do what the parents could not achieve when they were little.
Exactly.
So what do you think about that situation?
It's absurd. The children are not there to satisfy our desires. Don't think that way. The duty of the parents are to guide the children to become more sensible and serving the nation, the society, and also the family. For that, you have to mold him in such a way, not by pressurizing for them to do what you want, but rather harnessing the skills they have. Guide them. Provide them, if there are the opportunities, you take them there. And that is what you all should do, the parents should do now. See, always the other way around. Now, that is why in some families, I said, mostly there is no interaction or relationship, nothing. In some families, I have seen the roles of parents and children are reversed.
Yes,
The children have become parents and the parents have become children. So this will happen if you don't guide them in the proper path, as well as if you don't try to interact with them properly.
So you did mention when it comes to today's technology, it's quite addictive. The content that is there is not fit for all of us. So in a world which we have TV channels with all sorts of, say, unwanted things for children, things which are not appropriate for them, things which are not educational to them, what do you think is the importance of having a children's channel dedicated only towards children's betterment?
That's one of the best things that could have happened to children. Because we are in a world that man has become a slave of technology.
Yes.
That is why it's mentioned a couple of times that you should be your own master. And you should not be a slave of anything. That is why we are called humans. We are above the animals. So if we want to go down to that level, that's a different issue. But we should die as dignified people. That dignity should be there. The dignity comes with the self-esteem. If you have no self-esteem, there is no self-respect. When you're void of this, then you lose the balance and you sway to one side, extremes. you become a drug addict, an unwanted person in the society. You become virtually you become a pest to the society. So, and even the technology could do this change. Like you said, TV channels now. Who are our heroes? We used to have heroes those days about our kings. I could be some, or maybe a politician, or those days. I'm talking of the yesteryear politicians, not the present crop. But today, those things have changed. I'm sorry to say, people do not know who was Master Amaradeva. That maestro of music. No, nobody knows. So children doesn't know. But they know about Michael Jackson. They know about those actors and actresses of Bollywood. What are their likes? What is their best color? What is their favorite car? All those is known. Why? Because of the wrong. One thing, the principles and the guidelines. They have been provided through the television. It's really, I don't think it should go on like this. Either the government and the parents and people, all of us should get together and think about this. Those people, those countries which are sending these films to our country, they have very high set of norms and values. Even now they try to maintain it. But look at us. We let anything come, and what ultimately the minds are rotting, and we virtually, the country has become, despite the garbage piles, the country itself is a garbage pile. Sri Lanka today is a basket case. That's a basket case of Asia. We were leading country in 1950s and 60s. Better than Singapore, better than South Korea. But where are we today? In no time, Bangladesh will surpass us. But as children, are we ready to do the necessary for whatever it takes to bring the lost glory of Mother Lanka?
As far as I've heard, there was a time where the Singaporean president was trying to get Singapore to the standard that Sri Lanka was in. So it's our duty as children. We are the next generation. It is our duty to take Mother Lanka back to its glory, just like he said before. So you were speaking about children going over to different paths than their parents. Well, you have a degree in agriculture, but now you pursue politician. You pursue being a politician. I have seen many people, they have psychology degrees, and now they're doing something completely out of the field. So how did a person, a degree holder in agriculture, move on to the political field?
Agriculture is a field that encompasses politics, economics, about everything. And I do believe that I may not be a practical farmer, which I wanted to be. I didn't want to be a politician. Never. I wanted to become a simple and humble farmer. But now I am sowing the seed of democracy, goodwill, all those. And my field is Sri Lanka. So the plants will be the people. So if there's a good harvest, I'll be the happiest.
That was actually a very beautiful way to phrase it. So, end of the day, he's still a farmer, but at a different field. And sir, since you have tried to become a farmer, or now that you're a politician, was there a childhood dream where you were like, okay, I'm going to try and be this? Was there something like that?
Not when I was a child, but as I grew up around, when I was about 16, 17, I wanted to become a farmer. I really loved. Because I can remember when, of course, that would have, with the environment that I lived in when I was a very small child, and there were a lot of cattle and also some elephants. The family had elephants. So it was, so I thought it was so, I really loved that, the animals and everything. So I wanted to become a farmer, and also I thought that people should first eat. So how can you eat without farmers? They should be provided with food. So I thought becoming a farmer is good, and that will serve the country in a better way. Well, I am not underestimating any profession. Every profession is valuable. All of us should get together. But in my own view, that I thought, I had a dream of becoming a simple and humble farmer.
So no matter what our profession is, we should try to serve towards our own country. Sir, when we have guests over at Lokkange Podikale, we usually ask them to tell us some sort of a very memorable, some sort of a very emotional experience that they had, some sort of a memory. So I didn't think of a better way to end this program than with you saying such a memory. Like, could you share such a memory with us?
Not as I was a child, but recently my father passed away. That was very emotional. I am not an emotional person. I always let the brain take over matters than the heart. But at that point, I couldn't. Even now, still with the demise of my father, I still haven't come to terms with that. That was, I don't say it was the greatest shock or no, but it was the greatest loss I had personally. And considering the country, it is also a great loss. Though, well, to a father, son is always a son. No matter who he is, professionally or otherwise, still a son. Also to a mother. Though we didn't had a very cordial and close relationship, but his shadow has been lingering over my life right throughout. So that was the most emotional incident I faced and I encountered in my life.
Thank you so much for your amazing words. And finally, since we are Sri Lanka's first and only 24/7 children's channel, A+ TV, building up a society towards a new Sri Lanka, in simpler words, Nama Sri Lanka. So what do you think about A+ TV?
I told you, it's the greatest thing that could happen to children. I wish you all the best for the future endeavors, and keep up the good works. Don't deviate from your objectives, but maybe you can change your formats with the time, but A+, as you said, 24 hours per day, 7 hours per week. It could be a new experience, and you can mold the real Sri Lankan sons and daughters.
So once again, thank you so much for all the time that you spent with us and giving us an opportunity to have a little bit of a peep into Mr. Vidura's life and all the advices that you gave us. Again, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that's it for today's program, but make sure you keep on watching A+ TV because we give you all very important messages and we get to talk with amazing people over at Lokkange Podikale. So that's it for today, but keep watching A+ TV. See you next time.